Hey there, Internet. So we're on take two because I got the cats back in here, and one of them, I tried to do this all in one shot, and one of them decided to flash everybody the better side of him, and that's the side of the tail in his case. He's kind of a knucklehead. So early this morning, I flipping through my phone trying to wake up on my day off, and get sent an email from a friend. It says police aren't coming. They have a name for that now in Seattle. It's called Protocol Z. Now, I assume that must be because, Protocol Zombie, because the people that vote for these bad policies just keep voting for it like a bunch of zombies, and we're going to be getting to that. But before anything else, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Hit the like button and comment. It helps the algorithm. I'm at a plateau, a very low plateau. Let's help me get to the next one up. And maybe you can spread this to somebody that needs to hear what I have to say at the end after all this. So I get to reading this article from the Seattle Times, and then I start researching, and we got crime is up 13%. We're gonna block a cat there and drop him off the table again. Apparently, he thinks he needs to get involved. And Seattle is more than double. So 13% increase since 2019 in crime in Seattle. It's more than double the rest of the state. And out of 73 cities that have 10,000 or more population, so apparently this is with Cedar Woolley and Mount Vernon ranking better. Burlington didn't even appear, so they must still have a population below 10,000 apparently. Seattle is number 61 out of 73 in the state for being one of the safest cities. And this is a combination of how many police you have and your crime rates. Oak Harbor is number one. All links in the description below, and there's going to be a lot of them on this one. So, let me look here. About 35% of people in Seattle think the crime isn't as bad as reported. Another 32% say it's actually worse, and 25% say the media is accurate. And of course, there's crimes that go unreported. There's, like the times where, I'm trying to rush a cat out of here. There's those times where, a crime happened, like when I had a drug house living across the street, and I was finding my gas can from my lawnmower on their front porch completely empty when it was full before. A lot of those kind of things happen. I had a couple of lawnmowers stolen. Never got reported. That's in addition to what doesn't get reported. Because not every crime gets reported. What good does reporting two lawnmowers stolen do me? But our state is on average below average compared to the nation for violent crime. While Seattle's in line with it, but it's still way above the rest of the state. Largely because Seattle is insane. So in my further things, we had 3 strikes, you're out in our state. Well, they're trying to weaken that, or they have weakened it. We have had all the good gun laws in the last couple of years. So crime is actually not as bad as it was at different points. It kind of peaked around 1994. And I've got in the links, you will find a site called disastercenter.com, and it gives a bunch of the Washington crime statistics. You will find that, back to my notes here, crime peaked in the late 80s, early 90s. Murder peaked in 88, rape in 1992, armed robbery in 1988, assault in 1992. And while these are up from when they bottomed out a few years ago, where they bottomed out in the 20-teens was less by more than half. We cut the crime rate more than half. While guns were increasing, while the assault weapons ban went off, while the magazine ban went off, murder rate fell by more than half. The rate of rapes was cut by about a third. It was cut in half for robbery and for assault by the 2010s, and still well below its peak. People, and when people say, what are they concerned about? They're all concerned about gun violence, which we're below average. This thing about more guns create more crime, bullcrap. Explain Washington. It's tough crime policies, which we've been moving away from the last few years. Those things create worse policies. In addition to, social programs that encourage fatherless households, letting people go, these soft on crime policies. I don't even sign to put something on an initiative. Somebody's trying to put people in rehab rather than jail. Now, whether that's a good policy or not, I'm going to read that initiative before I even sign it. I didn't catch the number if you happen to see it. They were out in front of Walmart today. But people are not concerned about porch pirates, and that's actually the thing they should be concerned about in Washington. We lead the nation for porch pirates. Now, me being a delivery driver, I'm going to tell you, having a little, like a box, and make it a decent sized box, especially if you're going to have a locked gate. When I pull up in my delivery truck to drop off, if it's a locked gate or a shut gate, we don't go in under most circumstances. Having a box out there to kind of conceal the packages of whether something's been delivered, that actually could help you. Because at the very least, when they're driving by, they're going, oh, there's a box there. Do I want to stop and look just for stopping and looking? They don't want to waste their time. And there's been a massive increase to the tune of 10,000% increase in catalytic converter thefts. So we have all of those things. Well, what are they wanting to do about this? Well, in terms of what Seattle has done, because that's the concentration, their authorized force is 1,347. Yeah, they got 1,000 officers. Guess why they can't respond? The article I was sent this morning said, you used a couple of anecdotal stories where somebody stole 4 kids' backpacks. Who steals backpacks from kids, guys? Stole some Seattle computers, a couple of cell phones. They used a cell phone tracker to track the guy down. The cops couldn't respond. And the guy gets there. And we'll remove another cat, because he apparently needs to try and be a prick. He's a knucklehead. He doesn't learn his lesson. So they finally told him, yeah, we're not going to be coming, and just break off the pursuit, because the guy was following this bus, tracking it. When they got the backpack back with one of the backpacks back with the 4 laptops, but not the cell phones, offered to buy the cell phones from the guy for $50. He wouldn't do it. They've tracked it to South Seattle, down around SeaTac, and said, oh, well, you should abandon pursuit. Police aren't coming. Just file for insurance. That's their solution. File for insurance. Great solution there, guys. And what do people want? Apparently, they think mental health and addiction services are going to cure that sort of stuff. They think de-escalation for services for police. Obviously, you guys are all finding out why I say Spooky is a prick. And I'm not going to keep re-recording this. I'd be at it all night the way he is. Some people want more non-police staffing, 75%. 80% want more social programs to deal with the root causes. Root causes is great, but not when it creates fatherless households. The number one indicator for future criminal behavior? Fatherless households. Think about this, guys. And then there is one thing that's at least smart enough to do is 73% want more staffing for processing these cases, getting them through the courts. That's a great idea to a point. But our legislature thinks that, let's remove armed robbery. Or not armed robbery, just robbery, which is unarmed robbery. So you come up, you punch somebody, you take their wallet. So that's robbery in the second degree. They think removing that from 3 strikes you're out's a great solution. No, it's not. It's still violent crime. Okay, this is the kind of thing, if personal responsibility is a thing, guys, you need to hold people to it. When somebody's contemplating, if I bug somebody for their wallet and it's going to be my 3rd strike, I'm going to spend the rest of my life in jail, maybe they won't do it. And if they can't figure that out, do we really want them in with the rest of society? You got to think about that for a minute. Seattle decided it'd be a great idea to defund police, which is why they can't get police there now to deal with these problems. They literally cut their budget to the tune of $35.6 million from 2019 to 2020, and then 2021, or to the 2021 budget, excuse me, and then another for this latest year, another $10 million. They went from $401.8 million budget to a $355.6 million budget. It's about $46.2 million across the whole thing. They cut their budget. Whereas Kshama Sawant, she thinks it's a good idea to cut it by 50%. And the only reason I can think of is that she wants the chaos. She wants to watch the world burn. She thinks it's going to improve her chances of a revolution. And maybe he figured it out before I could even have to push him off. He's a little rambunctious because I can't throw him outside right now. So that's what Seattle's solution is let's just make the problem worse and think it's going to make it better. The police aren't the problem. It's the lack of police. Everyone's so concerned about, look at our jail population. Your programs that created fatherless households, that helped to create the problem. Your plans that made life harder in Seattle, like making it hard to build more housing, it makes homelessness a worse problem. Okay? Those kind of things are the things that will actually make your situation worse. So, as response times get longer, let's make another little thing. Let's make it harder to defend yourself. If police ain't coming, I wouldn't even count on them to show up to a violent crime at this point. So let's make life harder to defend yourself by banning larger capacity magazines. That's not going to help, guys. Three strikes inmates some of those three strikes inmates, because of that change in removing robbery in the second degree, could result in some about 114 repeat offenders being put back out on the streets. Does that make sense? That going to improve crime rates? Got to think about that one for a minute there. You've got, look at my notes. And if you're sick of this, so that's what their solutions are. If you're sick of this, some of you that living in Seattle might be wanting to leave. No, I say let the city that you created burn around you. A bunch of you, what you're going to do is you're going to move out of Seattle after voting for people like Kshama Sawant, who couldn't even be removed from office for corruption on her part in a recall. You're going to want to vote those same kind of idiots into power up here in Skagit County or Snohomish County or whatever other place you move to. You decide, I'm just going to bag Washington State because look how cheap it is to live in Idaho. You're going to take the same policies there. You need to stay put and let the place burn around you, because maybe you'll actually start putting out the fires and figuring it out that these liberal policies don't work. Okay? Simple as that. Stay put. We don't want you in Skagit County if you're voting for that crap. We don't want you in other counties where maybe you'd have to commute for a couple hours. We don't want you. Stay where you are. It's like you're diseased to us. Okay? If you're living outside Seattle, you need to let Seattle be an example of what you don't vote for. You stop voting for the people that want to defund police. You stop voting for the people that want to make excuses. You stop voting for the people that want to change this, which largely is going to mean not voting for Democrats. Okay? I'm sorry, but I go and I research all this, I read up on it, and it's all the policies the Democrats have pushed that have created this situation. I'm going to say this time and again. You cannot be a fully informed voter and vote for Democrats. Period. You might not vote for Republicans because, to imitate Tim Pool's imitation of them, particularly Mitch McConnell. Slow down there, Democrats. Yeah, sorry, not interested. Time to push back. So unless you're going to start making some other decisions and how you vote, stay put in Seattle. And I've got a friend, probably a week from moving to Idaho. He's done with Washington. But how long until you guys get sick of Washington and move there and try and turn it blue? Okay? They're trying that with Texas. They're pushing that in Georgia. How about you fix the place you're at and start admitting that these policies don't work? Particularly with crime. You got to have police, guys. Some people cannot behave. If you don't want those laws enforced, then change the law. But when it comes to property crime, when it comes to violent crime, it's very simple. You don't murder, you don't assault, you don't rob, you don't commit rape, you don't steal. It's 5 very basic things. You don't do those, you're not going to have a problem. All right? There was the guy in New York, and his name escapes me, that he was taken down and people were on him too long. He died in police custody because he was selling cigarette singles. Now, you could argue that didn't justify it. I would even argue that why are we even enforcing a law of that nature? Who cares? Why even have the law? But change that law so the police don't even have a law to enforce. You don't want to do that. You want to just defund the police and then the rest of us have to suffer. All right? Imagine you bring your policies up here to Skagit County, and when I moved to Clear Lake, I had good neighbors. About 10 years in, one of them got back into drugs. His wife left him, and then I ended up with a whole lot of crime in this neighborhood. In my little neighborhood, 80 stops in a year, or 100 stops in a year. Half of them, I think it was 80 stops, 83 stops, I think it was. Half of them were 2 houses. One a couple blocks over, and on a dead-end side street, off the little loop here, and one right across from me counted for over half of those stops. And the policies you push would just have made the situation worse, because the police wouldn't have had time to deal with it. So you think before you do this. Either stay put or change the way you vote if you're going to move somewhere else. But really, you just need to change the way you vote and stop voting for this crap. And start voting the people that make these decisions out. Every city council member that voted to defund police should have been voted out. No question. If you can't figure that out, the fault's on you. Off the table, Spooky. You guys all have a nice night. Or a nice day by the time you see this. And I'm recording this with my phone with a cat trying to knock everything over. So y'all have a nice day, and I'll see you another time, because when I finally get to where I'm going to finally do these, the cat will not be able to get behind the phone, and then eventually a camera. And if he does get up here, at least you'll be staring at his idiot face. So you all have a nice day. Peace out.